Right then guys, what we're going to go through now then is a warm-up. Warm-up is massively important when it comes to any sort of physical activity. It gets our body ready for the fizz that's coming up, and it gets our mind ready for the fitness that's coming up. It's also fantastic in injury prevention. It's making sure that our bodies are nice and warm, our muscles, our joints, ligaments, everything about us is ready to go into that fitness session itself. So why do we warm up? It's exactly as I just said. It's so that our bodies and our mind are ready for the task that's going to happen, the activity that we're going to go into, that we're ready to tackle that to our best of our ability, limiting as far as possible the chances of any injuries. Injury prevention at your age is actually massive. You're starting to become young adults, not little kids anymore, which means your muscles and your bones and your joints are now becoming at that point where you could, touch wood it never happened, but you could actually do yourself an injury. So we need to warm up correctly to prevent that as much as we possibly can. So there are 3 phases to any warm up that you're going to do. The first phase is joint mobility. That's getting our arms moving around, our arms, our shoulders, our wrists, our ankles, our knees, our hips. Every joint of the body needs to get that cerebral fluid going through it. That gets it mobilised, gets it nice and warm up, ready for the exercises that are going to come up. Once we've done that, that lasts a couple of minutes. We're going to go into a functional movement, or some people call it a dynamic phase. Now, this is where we start giving ourselves more of a warm-up, start getting into it a little bit more depth. You start going into more functional movements, the movements that maybe we're looking at getting when we actually do the fitness test. We're going to become more intense. As we go through these, we're going to make sure it's progressive and pulse raising, so that when we finish our warm-up, we are ready to go straight into the exercise itself. So the last phase then is activity-specific phase. That is us having a go at a few of the exercises that we're actually going to take on. Not only is it warming our bodies up, it's getting our minds ready for some of the exercises that are coming up. Now, if you're getting ready to run a marathon, you're not going to do 100 press-ups before you go out and do it. Because it's going to destroy your arms and get yourself, and it's not going to be activity specific to what you're going to do, which is going to be a marathon type run. So we are going to do certain exercises. So I'm going to show you some of the exercises you can do for activity specific phase at the end. By the time we finish this, you should be ready just to slow down, have a quick cup of water, and then move into the exercises after a couple of minutes. So you're good to go. So the way we're going to do this then, I'm going to bring in Cadet Hartland, and he's going to demo the exercises. I'm going to step out of the way to give him as much room as possible, and I'm going to direct him through the 3 phases of warming up to give you an idea of what an actual warm-up demonstration is going to look like. And hopefully you can take some of these away and use them for when you're doing your warm-ups yourself, or when you go and do any sort of fitness activity. Cadet Hartland, if you come in. So another thing we need to work on is stretching the muscles. Now this is part of the warm-up, and you'll see as he goes through, when he does the exercises, he's actually going to give himself more stretching of the legs. When he's doing lunges, he'll go lower. What this is doing is it's gradually increasing the muscle itself. Now what we do is we make sure that we can stretch that muscle through warm-up to give it maximum potential. If you don't warm up your muscles before you stretch them, you could possibly do yourself damage. Imagine your muscles are like a bit of blue tack or a bit of chewing gum. If it's freezing cold and you try and pull it apart, it will snap. If you warm it up in your hands a little bit, then stretch it, it will stretch and stretch and stretch. Your muscles work in a very similar way with the fibres that are inside there. So if we warm it up nice and gentle, bit of gentle jogging, more and more and more and more, up to progressive pulse raising, that is when our muscles are going to be ready to do the exercises and hopefully do them correctly. So the stretching that we're going to do in our warm-up is preparatory stretching. Now this is one of the phases of stretching that we do, and it's the one we do during a warm-up because it prepares our bodies and our muscles and our joints ready for the exercises. Now these stretches are very short stretches. They're held between 5 and 10 seconds per stretch. No more than that, because then we move into the next phase, which is all part of the cool down. So what I'm going to do now then, I'm going to step out of the way, I'm going to give instruction to Cadet Hartland, and he's going to show us a warm-up. Carry on with your jogging. So this is a joint mobility phase. Start circling the arms to the front. And arms to the back. Breaststroke. Front crawl. Backstroke. And just jog normally. Start punching out to the front. Out to the sides. Up in the air. And down to the ground. Up to the front. And just walk. As you're walking, start flicking the fingers out to the front. Flick the fingers in the air. Down to the ground. Up to the sides. And start jogging again. Side steps facing in. And up the other way. And just jogging over. And running backwards. Running forwards. Running backwards. Running forwards. Last time jogging up to the top. And just walk it down. This time as you're walking round, arms directly out to the sides, start rotating them around slightly. Make it a bit bigger, bigger, all the way around. And relax it out. With your wrist, rotate your wrist round, one way and then the other. And stop there, please. This time start rotating the ankles, one of them, and the other, and the opposite way. Back to the other ankle, the opposite way. And our knees together, start bending them, forward and back. Round in circles, one way, and the other. And stand up straight. The hips forward and back, side to side. Rotate one way, and the other. And just jog out. Right, moving on to functional movements and dynamic phase. This time just walk it up. As you come back down, every couple of steps, take yourself down into a lunge. Not too low, couple of steps, next one, hold it for about 5 seconds or so. Keep going up to the top. Each time you do it, you try and get that a little bit lower. And just jog it out. Up to the top. This time when you come down into sumo squats, when you come down, hold it for about 5 seconds, couple of steps between each one. Again, each time you do it, trying to go down a little bit further. And jog it up to the top. Keep jogging it. As you're jogging this time, start raising the knees to the front. Keep going. And heels to the rear. And just jogging normally. This time, start raising the knees a little bit more. Good, keep going. Keep jogging normally. Heels a little bit more. Good, and walking back down. Steady there. From here then, side bends. Start coming down to the sides. Try and get that a little bit further. This time and hold. And up slowly. Up the side bends, up the side bends, and down the other side. Hold. And same again, top the bends, top the bends. Last couple, take it down to one side, hold it there. Up to the middle. And top the side bends. And down the other side. And start jogging it out. So moving on to an activity specific phase then. Right, shall go, you just sprint up to the end, about 50%. You're going to then come down here, go onto the mat, you're going to do 3 press ups, 3 sit ups, and 3 squats. You come up, carry on jogging. Go! 3 sit ups. Good. Good full range of movement. 3 press ups. And 3 squats. Good. And just jog it up to the end. This time when you do it, I just want you to come down and do 3 sit-ups. Go! Good, should be getting a full range of movement now. And just jog it up. Three squats, down you go. And carry on jogging. Last one then, when I shall go, about 70%, back down, 3 press ups, go. Very good, and just walking up to the end. Right guys, as you can see there, that's a quick demonstration, probably a little bit quicker than what we normally do for demonstration purposes. Cut it down into the 3, are you warm? Yeah. You cut it down to the 3 sections. We've done our joint mobility phase, with the arm movements, the leg movements, the knee movements and the ankles. Then our functional movements, where we were starting to get a bit more dynamic stretching in there, which is our preparatory stretching, our 6 to 10 seconds, and finished off with an activity specific phase. We knew we were going to do press ups or push ups, we knew we were going to do trunk curls or sit ups, and we knew we were going to do sprinting, we knew we were going to do some form of exercise of our legs. So we finished it off there. Finished off the last bit of exercise, and you walked off, cool the body down for a couple of minutes, a drink of water, and then move on to the actual exercise phase itself. Right guys, looking in for the next one, which is going to be the actual exercises themselves.